So Hans and I just finished having a conversation with Sawyer Merritt, which will be on this channel, or probably has already been posted on the channel. We'll see which one goes first. But we were talking about the Musk arc, the Elon Musk arc, and how much of a transition there's been in the last few years where this individual has been focused on a lot of technological problems, but now he's becoming increasingly, let's say, more political. And this thought was brought up the second we read a post on X where Donald Trump has announced that he will have in his words, a major interview, the greatest interview you'll ever see, on the 12th, Monday night. And of course, we'll have that on this channel in some shape or form. We'll make sure that y'all can have access to it. I think, and Hans's point was, it's important for us to be upfront about this with the audience because this is where we're going, most likely. And we know a lot of you follow Elon Musk closely. And a lot of these conversations, I think for some are very uncomfortable. Walk me through why you're thinking that way, Hans, maybe for the audience as well.
Yeah, just thinking about the implications of this election and the fact that as we draw closer and closer to November, the rhetoric around Trump is going to reach a new all-time high fever pitch. And we've already been through this, obviously, for the last 8 years from the media and how it is that they portray Trump every now and then fairly, but honestly, most of the time unfairly. And that's coming from someone who's not planning to vote for Trump. That insanity is just going to reach the next level. And now we're also attaching Elon Musk to that. And so while we're already in a situation where there are probably a lot of his original investor base and fans who were more on the left-leaning side, definitely more passionate about trying to be active in their support for climate change agendas and trying to do what they could to preserve our climate and our world. He's already started to disrupt some of those people, and it's becoming unpopular among certain groups of those people to purchase or own a Tesla at all. I think that is going to continue to escalate over the next few months, and that probably by November, we're going to reach a level of internal discomfort within the Tesla community with Elon and his political stances that is going to feel a lot like a breaking point. And I think it will be like a fever. It's going to get worse and worse, and we're going to go into an era of delusions. And after that point, if we get through to the middle of next year, maybe a year past that, we'll look back and we'll feel like, oh my gosh, all of that was absolutely insane. Why did we think all of these things and feel all of these things? And it's just going to be because this is such a polarizing topic. And of course, this is the most polarizing time for this most polarizing topic. And Elon is going to be entangled in all of that for the rest of this year. And it's going to be very uncomfortable for many people, both supporters and non-supporters alike. And so I think, obviously, we've seen lots of little things that have been building up to the current state of how this feels, but I was just reflecting on how much worse this is probably going to get. And I haven't heard a lot of people talking about that trajectory and that arc. And I think that it is something to be definitely mindful of and to think about and to prepare ourselves for. And that's just this one election cycle. As Elon continues to advance forward in all of the different businesses that he's operating and the missions that he's putting forward, that his level of focus that is placed on him from a political lens, because he is so influential, is only going to get brighter over time. So I think we will reach a peak here this year. It will then ebb from there and it'll die down for a while, but it will still be an upward trajectory, and that 4 years from now, 8 years from now, 12 years from now, that it will be even worse than it is today.
Yeah, and I think our goal, Hans's and I's goal of what this podcast should be in the long term, and we spoke about this briefly, is that our goal is to try and document exactly what the hell is happening with one of the most influential people of our time, regardless if you like him or not, right? And I think that's been the goal of this channel from the very beginning. It's started in a quite narrow place with the Tesla story, mainly because that was one of the primary things I felt I could personally bring to my audience, right? But over time, as this individual in Elon Musk has become more influential, has gained more power, has created more things for people that they really enjoy. And on the flip side, he's pissing off a lot of people based on his beliefs and what he says and the mistakes he's made, so on and so forth. I think it's going to be very important for us to have a place to not be afraid to discuss everything that's going on with that story, both good and bad. Right. And a lot of times those discussions are very difficult, especially for people, let's say, that have had a certain opinion of this individual in the past that now, to Hans' point, has been disrupted. Or if I use myself as an example, as somebody that worked at Tesla, has followed the story for as long as I have, is an investor in Tesla, being objective is super important during this time. And so that's my personal goal. And that's why I'm lucky to have Hans with me, because I know Hans is somebody that will be able to also bring that to the table in his way. I think the goal here is to just bring it forward to you. This was Hans's idea before we went live. He's like, at some point, we probably should talk to our audience that, hey, this is probably going to be coming. Yeah. And I think Hans hit it right on the head.
Yeah, we have our own biases as well. So our goal is really to just try to be as honest and transparent with the audience about how we see it and bring that forward, because I think that the best outcome is for people to be informed from a variety of perspectives. And I think that it is our responsibility to just be honest about where we see this heading, whether it is comfortable to discuss or not. That I think it's inevitable that this is the direction that we're headed, and this is the dynamic that we're going to see play out around Elon Musk. And so we owe the audience a debt of just honesty and transparency to tell them that is what we foresee, and then to have discussions that explore, okay, if that is what's going to happen, let's look at it from this angle and let's look at it from that angle and try to think through the different scenarios and dynamics that we see playing out around that. And that's why it's important to have these types of discussions.
And not to say that we're not going to talk about the technical stuff too, right? We'll definitely cover all the technical advancements in artificial intelligence, the technical advancements in electric vehicles. We want to start getting into space flight and the disruption to that entire thing, but that one's kind of hard because there's literally just one company. It's the dynamic there, so like obvious. But that's the sort of long-term goal, is that we're not going to shy away from talking about anything in respects to this individual and this story arc, especially as Elon Musk reaches the first trillionaire in the world status, as long as Tesla reaches AI superiority, reaches Starship, and plummeting the cost of putting stuff in space. So if you just do the math and you think about the percentage of what he owns of these companies and how much value these companies should be able to generate in the next 5 to 10 years based on the value they're bringing to the world, it's just a very simple math exercise that says, yeah, Elon would probably have $1 trillion. Okay, or of assets to his name. What does that mean? What kind of world is that, right? That is what Hans and I spend a lot of time thinking about, and we'll spend a lot of time talking about on this channel.
And I'd like to also make an appeal to listeners that, especially people who have been around the story for a long time, think back to 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, like those peak FUD years for Tesla, where almost everything that we read coming out of news publications of any variety was just these negative hit pieces. Now, I suspect that not only we're starting to see that kind of again in some ways, but I think that the likelihood that we're going to go through another wave of that type of media attention that is directed like that machinery, like that was a preview of this is how the machinery of these news publications and basically the manipulation and artificial generation of public sentiment around a topic works. And this is the exact same machine that has been so negative about Trump for the past 8 years. And like I said, sometimes fairly, but I think on net, majority unfairly, the same way that it was towards Tesla. And now all of that is going to be pointed at Elon. And so if you have seen through the FUD in the past, but in the current instantiation of it, it is getting to you. And you are now one of the people who believes things about Elon Musk or about Trump that are basically the modern day equivalent of EVs catch fires. Then reflect on that. Are the things that you believe about the way that the world is operating and the things that Elon is doing and the things that Trump are doing, are those colored by the headlines of what you read on CNBC, MSNBC, CNN, New York Times? Are you getting your convictions about what's going on, Fox News, of what's going on in the world from these places? And are they making you feel afraid or angry? And are you really in touch with the base layer of facts about what's going on to where you can feel that much more neutral and objective feeling about what's going on instead of one that is much more emotional and manipulated?
And so our goal is to be as unemotional and as objective as we possibly can, but we should not be gospel in any way, shape, or form. My ask will be, do not use us as the only source of information when it comes to this stuff, right? Go watch other people. Go read other stuff. Like, we should not be the only channel as it pertains to these topics whatsoever, because that's a disservice to you.
Yeah, we're probably coming from a little bit more of a libertarian angle on things, and obviously that's its own perspective. It's going to be fun.
We deeply appreciate everybody. It's been an incredible thing. Honestly, I haven't made a video like this probably ever, but I'm so... the channel has experienced some explosive growth in the last 6 to 12 months, 100% in part because of my awesome audience. And of course, Hans and David, who's helped me so much in the background. Y'all don't know David, but he has an incredible team that has helped me with a lot of these supercuts and edits and the production of some stuff. And that's the reason why we have the audience we have today. And this feels like just the beginning for this channel. And this is our video that says it's going to get crazy. We're going to try our best to be objective. We're not going to be afraid to touch topics. We'll step on in shit from time to time for sure. But
we'll get on Elon's nerves from time to time.
If y'all don't know what we're talking about, go on X and check out the video we made with Larry that we also posted on YouTube. That got a very pointed response from Elon. But I think in the end, we're not doing our job unless we are bringing our opinions unfiltered to y'all. And that's our goal. So that's our word. If you don't like that, you have every right to unsubscribe and not watch our channel anymore. But that's what we're going to do moving forward. And I think that's what we've done in a large part up to this point as we've started to really explore what has been happening. But yeah, it's going to get crazy. I think that's the overarching premise here. It's going to get crazy. For the people that love chaos, it's going to be probably the most fun you'll have in a long time. And it's going to be vitriolic. It's going to be emotional. But the goal here is to always find the signal from the noise. And there's going to be noise in a way that has never existed before with this story. Get ready. Hopefully we're signal.
At least sometimes.
At least sometimes. That should be our channel. Hopefully we're signal at least sometimes. That's a vote of confidence. No, what was the one thing you came up with?
Oh, something like only half clueless or slightly more than clueless, maybe.
So I think slightly more than clueless was the name. Slightly more than clueless.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
Yeah, that sounds
anyway,
right.
That's what we try to be. Slightly more than clueless. And hopefully that's of value to y'all. Thank you very much. Bye.
Catch you on the flip side.